bustling town of Nurabad, there lived a boy named Arman. Arman had everything a child could wish for. Wealthy parents, fancy clothes, shiny shoes. But one thing he did not have: kindness. You see, Arman was selfish, arrogant. He laughed at classmates who wore torn uniforms, mocked the hungry, and never shared a single thing. One afternoon while walking home, Arman spotted an old cobbler by the roadside. The man sat in his tiny stall, surrounded by scraps of leather and tools. Arman smirked. "Old man," he said, "how do you even survive, repairing these dirty shoes? Who would want them?" He tossed a coin at the cobbler, not out of generosity but mockery. The cobbler looked up with calm eyes and whispered, "One day, young master, you will learn what it means to walk in another's shoes." The next morning, as Arman passed the stall again, the cobbler called him over. "I have something for you," he said, and held out a pair of strange glowing shoes. Arman scoffed. "Why would I wear these ugly things? Look at mine, they cost more than your whole stall." The cobbler only smiled. "Try them. You may learn something no gold can buy." And with arrogance, Arman slipped them on. At once the world spun. His rich clothes vanished. The streets blurred. When he opened his eyes, he was no longer himself. Arman sat on a roadside mat, dressed in rags. A rusty bowl lay in front of him. He was a beggar. People hurried past, some ignoring him, others glaring in disgust. His stomach growled. Hours passed, but not a single coin fell into his bowl. Children threw pebbles at him. Laughter pierced his ears. Humiliation stung his heart. By nightfall, he had nothing to eat. For the first time in his life, Arman wept. The next day, the shoes shimmered again. Arman blinked, and this time, he was a laborer. He carried heavy bricks under the scorching sun. His back ached, his hands blistered. Sweat soaked his torn shirt. "Work faster," shouted the foreman, "or no pay for today." Arman wanted to scream, "I can't!" But fear of hunger forced him to keep going. At lunchtime, the others ate dry bread. Arman searched his pockets. Empty, not a single coin. Exhausted, starving, he worked till night, tasting the pain he once mocked. On the third day, the shoes glowed again. Arman looked around and found himself in an orphanage. He was now a little boy, wearing clothes too big and shoes too small. When lunch came, he received a tiny piece of bread and watery soup. He looked at the children beside him. They smiled and shared their food with those who had even less. For the first time in his life, Arman broke his bread in half and gave it to a smaller boy. The boy's eyes sparkled giggles, and Arman felt something new. Not pride, not arrogance, but warmth. When the shoes finally returned him to his own body, Arman was standing once again before the cobbler. His rich clothes had returned. His shiny sneakers were back on his feet. The cobbler asked, "Well, young master, do you still think wealth makes you greater than others?" Arman fell silent. Then, with tears in his eyes, he knelt. "Forgive me," he said softly. "I understand now. True worth is not in what we own, but in how we treat others." The cobbler nodded. "Empathy, my boy, is the finest pair of shoes you will ever wear." And from that day forward, Arman was never the same. He helped classmates who couldn't afford books. He shared his lunch. He even set aside his pocket money to help poor students. When his friends asked, "Arman, what changed you?" he only smiled and replied, "I just learned how heavy another's shoes can feel." Moral: true understanding comes not from judging others, but from walking in their shoes. Empathy is what makes us truly human.